the other shit.
What's up, you guys? Come on in the room.
Yo, yo, yo. Let's get it started.
Let's get it started.
I'm sure that ain't what it say.
It's let's get it started.
You don't know what it
say.
That is not you did that. I'm sure you did
for people like you.
All right.
I Google.
Prove it. Google.
Siri.
No, you tell me what it say.
What's
first.
The words?
No.
Let's get it
tell
started.
me what it say first.
I just did.
You ain't say nothing.
I did. Yep, just like I said.
What you said?
And when you go back and watch this, you'll know exactly what I said.
What you said? Now I asked you again. You ain't say nothing.
Let's get it started.
Oh, you gonna read the lyrics and now you got like you got confidence. Get the out of here.
Let's get it started in here.
Man, y'all get her.
And the bass keeps running.
Y'all get her like
running.
Bro, you is petty.
What's up? What's up, you guys? How are y'all doing? It is Tuesday. Coming to you live for another Tuesday training.
Ask me how I'm doing.
How you doing, Tony?
I'm not doing good.
Please tell me why.
And this Linda taking all day to send back a small piece of paper called the verification of mortgage.
You know, let's be honest, I don't think it was going to the right people. I think it sat on a couple of people's desks and it hasn't been getting to the lender, is what I'm thinking. That's what I'm hoping.
Who has been getting to?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it went.
They slowing me and my people down from doing deals.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
you all right?
I'm gonna be.
You will be all right.
I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay.
Absolutely.
I ain't giving a shirt. I ain't a shirt.
Because your shirt is perfect. There's nothing wrong with your shirt.
What's up, my good people, y'all? If you got any questions, man, y'all just drop them in the chat. Today we ain't necessarily got no topic. We just taking questions that you got. Anything big, small, anything you don't quite understand, any challenges that you're facing, man, just drop them in the chat. We can talk about it. So we ain't necessarily got no topic today.
Today is Ask the Denmarks. All right.
So we're just gonna fire away, ask some questions, man. Let's get this thing popping. You gonna do your little?
Are you asking me or you telling me? Because I don't really understand you. Say it.
Today's episode is brought to you by no damn body.
I had to go to Summit at least.
But we're gonna get our sponsors right, y'all. So just give us a little time.
Absolutely. If you hadn't got your tickets yet for the REI Decoded Summit, make sure you get your tickets. REI Decoded Summit is going to be in Birmingham, Alabama, July 26th and the 27th. We have a spectacular lineup. I'm not going to go in detail right now.
Don't go
in detail. We can talk about it more, but make sure you get your ticket. It's on Eventbrite, all right?
And listen, you got questions, this is the Ask the Denmark. So if you got anything, just drop it in the comment. What's up, Casey?
Hey,
and we can talk about it. For some reason, people don't like dropping their questions in the group. and they'll prefer to email or text us or messenger us the questions.
DM us the questions.
So
right.
I got like 4 questions that one of them was in the group, but the other 3 they sent to us personally. But however y'all get it to us, just get it to us to make sure that we're helping. You got some people over there you trying to talk to?
What's up, Rhonda? Hey, LaShawn. Hey, Charles. Hey, Tony. Hey, Tiffany. Hey, Beasley. Hey, Yasmin. I wanted to make sure that I said hey to a few people that I saw on. How are you guys doing today? You good, Tanya?
I'm good. You ready?
I'm ready.
You ready? All right. So I'm gonna start with question 1. And
You want me to read it?
sure. I can't read. I mean, I know I can't spell that good, but I can read
I
a
might
little
need
bit.
you to read it after. Okay. So Marie Smith said, how did y'all get started in real estate? How did we get started in real estate?
You gotta do a Cliff Note version of that.
Yeah. Okay, so how did we get started in real estate? We both have different stories that led to us getting started. So, but ultimately the story I dropped it. Oh. Ultimately, the way we got started was one of Antonio's frat brothers / coaches, when he coached for Parker High School in Birmingham, told him, let's go to an auction. And at that auction is when it was Antonio's first time seeing, I think he was like 22 or 23 years old. It was his first time seeing houses being sold for little of nothing. We're both from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm from Miami and Fort Lauderdale. Yes, I said both. You'll figure it out later.
I see your question too, Casey. I gotta think about it.
So we're from Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Florida. So where we live, where we're from, is very expensive. Real estate is super expensive. And when Tonio went to the auction, like literally houses was selling for $4,000, $5,000. Some houses weren't even getting bidded on because of the side of town they were on. So immediately after he went to that auction, he was like, listen, I think we need to start considering buying a house. We were renting an apartment at that time. And he was like, I really think we need to consider buying a house. Like, I just went to this auction and some houses weren't even getting bid on. And did we buy a course before then? Did we buy a course before it?
You're going too far.
Auction?
Cliff Notes.
That's how you got.
Cliff
Nothing I say that has
Cliff
a cliff
Notes, bro.
on it. Maybe a cliffhanger, but not a cliff note. Okay, so how
we was introduced to real estate from one of my frat brothers. That's kind of what was our introduction. So I would take the question and add on to it, and I would kind of ask, where do we get the money to start real estate?
Ooh.
All right, so statute of limitations should be up for what I'm going to say.
You're not going to do that. You're not.
So I've always been the type of person that
an
entrepreneur spirit. So I was the candy man when I was in college. I always had legal things that I was selling. But one of the biggest things I sold was movies and DVDs. So when I was in college, I sold movies and DVDs probably about my junior and senior year.
And a little bit outside of college.
And a little bit out of college.
I had my fair share of selling movies and DVDs with you.
So I was the movie and DVD guy, and along with being in school, I was on a scholarship, so I would save that money too. So
people don't even have DVDs anymore.
I'm just saying that's old school, but I was always that guy who was selling stuff and saving money, and I was always good with money. My mom used to have like flea markets and go to the swap shop and sell stuff. So like I've seen that, and I've been around that all my life. So from a money standpoint, I was able to save about $7,000 to $8,000 just off selling movies. And I also was a club promoter. So when I was in school, I would throw parties because I was a Kappa. I was a football player. So I threw parties. I got paid off throwing parties. So I was always that guy doing different things to make money. That's just who I was. And those are the ways that I kind of saved the money to get started in real estate.
My story is a little different. I had credit. My mom taught me early that credit was important. So I started getting personal credit cards. And yeah, I bought my first deals off of my personal credit cards.
All right.
All right. So
now, if y'all got follow-up questions to that, y'all can ask them. But
right.
That was surface level. I threw some fly parties too, y'all. We used to get it in, boy.
Ooh. They were okay.
Man, you a hater. You used to come to Tallahassee and go to my parties.
I came from Tallahassee, you guys. True story. I used to come from Tallahassee when I was supposed to be in Pensacola. Is what my parents thought. My parents thought I was in Pensacola while I was in college at one of my friends' house, but I was actually in Birmingham, sliding to Birmingham, going to these Kappa football parties that were put together like. That was the crazy thing.
It wasn't crazy. I did it.
Goodbye. All right. Debbie Jones said, do I need an LLC to start investing?
No. Just start making offers.
Yeah.
Start doing what you need to do. Get pre-approved. Don't get caught up in making LLCs and EINs and virtual addresses and websites.
Our first probably 8 properties were in our personal name.
Straight personal.
We're in our personal name.
And then it's a teaching note. I tried to transfer the deeds from my personal name to my business name and screwed it all the way up.
Yes.
So I tried to quit claim the properties from my personal name to my. Keep in mind, I was young, so didn't really understand it. And I just printed off something, transferred it. Now I did it in the record books, but when I went to actually sell those properties,
we had to redo them all.
We had to redo all of them. So I thought I was protected, but honestly, I didn't never do it right.
Yeah.
So one note: don't try to move properties from personal to business by yourself.
Yes.
Get your attorney.
Get an expert. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, we our first few properties were in our personal name. Would I go back and do it again? I would, because I didn't waste and say, okay, well,
you gotta be clear. Would you go back and do? Would you do what?
Would I go back and still put it in my personal name? I would, just because it helped me get out. It helped me get off the sideline quicker. Had I been stuck on trying to get an LLC, I would probably still be here today, trying to figure out which state I should get the LLC in and what does that look like, and just procrastinating and never getting it done.
Yeah,
so
man. Get going, man. Get started. That's the key thing. Get started. You can do LLCs and all that stuff as you're going, but get started.
Stone said, "Hustlers hustle."
Hustlers hustle, baby.
Yeah.
I ain't say that right.
Hustlers hustle. Yes. All right. Before I go to Larry's let me go to Casey's.
Okay.
What's the best deal you've ever done and why? What's the best deal that we've ever done?
I got mine, and it might not be the best one because we've done a lot of deals, but I got one that was probably the most impactful.
I have one. Okay. What's yours?
So to me, the most impactful deal that I've ever done was our first time doing a hotel. And the reason I say that was the most impactful is because it opened up a new way of investing for us. And what I mean by a hotel is we bought a house for $15,000 and we turned around and we put like 15, 20 into it, but it was the pits of a house. I mean, it didn't have no living room floors. We never went upstairs to see the bedroom.
We didn't even know that there was a room in the basement.
There was a whole basement down there.
Until middle of the rehab.
The garage was full of stuff. So it was like it was like the S of
and
S
it was during COVID.
And it was right before
during COVID.
It was during COVID.
Beard was like this.
Yeah, so it was during COVID. And if you go back to COVID, financing was tough and things was a little shaky. So, but we still bought the house. Why? I don't know. We just do this type of stuff sometimes. So we bought the house and we put about 15, 20 into it. So we all in for 30, 35,000. And then we turned around and sold it to another investor for like 70. And it's not the spread that was important. The important thing was the whole from the rehab to the sale was probably a 30-day process because we sold it to another investor. So the fact that we were able to take a horrible property, put a little bit of money into it. He still had to go put his money into it.
Yeah, a horrible time, because this was the beginning of COVID, and the reason why I said your beard was up here, everybody was scared to go to the barber during that time. Like, you really weren't going outside. Yes. And we were walking through the houses with masks on. And I remember vividly when it was during the summer of COVID. Because, and I know this is crazy.
No, because you got because that's the women brains. Well, y'all got the details.
I remember showing my daddy the house, and he said, "Oh, y'all got a big one on your ticket." So that's how I remember it was the summer of COVID, because he died in July. So yeah, it was.
Yeah. So from a number standpoint, it wasn't the biggest deal, but from a
You said it was, or what?
It wasn't.
Oh, okay.
From a number standpoint, it wasn't our biggest deal, but from a belief and an ideal and an ideology standpoint, it was huge, because we would see cheap properties, $10,000, $15,000 all day, and we always passed on them because we couldn't get financing on those properties. Mm-hmm. So when we did that, that opened up a whole new world to us, to where we don't only have to look for properties that need $30,000, $40,000, but we can find a property that needs $70,000 and $80,000, put 20, 30 into it, and still sell it at a quick time frame and make some money. So that was probably one of the most impactful deals I think we've done, because we've used that strategy over and over and over, and it has helped us in what we're doing.
So yeah, my best deal was a hotel deal. It wasn't that one. It was the one in South of Roebuck.
So same
concept, mm-hmm. And we wanted to keep it, but when we started talking to our friends that were appraisers, and they said, "Well, your appraisal can come back spotty on this. It's either going to come back because the bathroom and the kitchen were really below grade, and everything else was above grade. So it really, although it looked like it was a 3-2, well, a 4-2, it really was a 3-1, because one of the bedrooms was downstairs, one of the bathrooms was downstairs, mm-hmm. and the kitchen and the living room was also downstairs.
It was crazy.
So I was like, okay, we got to hurry up and get out of this. And I think we spent about $25,000 on it. And then to me, it made hoteling like, oh, this can really happen, because I remember that HUD statement saying $86,000 on it, just with me being in it in less than 60 days, putting 25 into it, trying to get up off of it because I was afraid of the appraisal and it working out for my good. Yeah. So that was my best deal.
Yeah, so I would say just that whole concept from a, how can I word it, from a money out to money made speed standpoint.
Yes,
that's by far been our best way of making money, mm-hmm. where you can put $30,000, $40,000 out and then get back a lump sum in mm-hmm. less than 60 days. And the crazy thing about that deal, the owner financed the deal to us.
Yeah, the wholesaler, not even the seller.
The wholesaler owner financed the deal to us.
He financed the deal to us.
And it just took 25 out of pocket. So from a deal standpoint, I would say that was kind of our best deals.
Yeah, that was a few of our best deals. Okay. Miss King said.
And our first lease option, I think, was a good one too.
It's a lot of good ones. There's some bad ones, but there's some good ones too.
And some bad ones now. Great question though,
Miss King said, hello, have you guys ever purchased tax lien properties?
Ooh, you gotta pull you up a chair for this story.
So my heart starts palpitating like really fast when I hear the word tax in front of any properties. Just because I got some scars on my back from that. So yes, we purchased tax deed properties. I think it's important to say tax deed versus the tax certificate. And the attorneys like to say what we had was a special case. I don't know, but just know that make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure you don't over improve it. Make sure you are preserving the property, because we didn't understand what preserving meant. We put a tenant in the house that we got for a tax deed immediately after I left Regions, because we used my severance package money to buy tax deeds. That was going to be our income, our cash flow coming in. Once I got let go. Yeah, once I got let go. Let's just say that went all left. In fact, you want to tell them how much you spent?
Yeah, so that was probably one of our biggest setbacks in this real estate game. Because we fought the case and we lost. So
the case went on for about a year.
So we end up having to pay the lawyer. Well, we ended up having to get two lawyers. So we ended up paying the first lawyer about 60 to 65,000. He lost. All right. But when we lost that lawsuit, the judgment against us was another 65, 70,000. So we had to, they put liens on our properties. So our next 3 or 4 properties we sold, we had to pay them off.
We had to pay them off.
But in the midst of that, we had to go get another lawyer because they trying to attach liens to properties that weren't in the LLC,
that were a different entity. Yeah.
So we had to go end up paying another 10 to 15,000 just to fight them from trying to put liens on other properties.
And to even structure the
settlement
agreement.
So, and it wasn't no settlement to the point of you're gonna pay less. It was just more so of we said that we'll make payments until we can sell the properties.
And we were trying to negotiate, like as we were selling them off, like, okay, since this is the way we eat, this is the way we live. If we sell this property off and we're expected to make 45,000 on this, can we keep 10,000 of it and give you
30,000,
the other 30? And they were like, nope.
Well, all our bread.
Why not? Like, we already paying you still monthly. So we had to have the attorney to step in to help us with structuring that, because they were like cold, not even fooling with us in answering that. Yeah. So yeah.
So to the original question, yes, we bought tax deed, and we still have some tax deed properties.
Yeah.
But it's not an avenue that we just die to go down anymore from those cars. But
it's a way to start. If it gets you in the game,
it gets you in the game. We didn't start with tax deeds. That was just kind of one of the things we picked up along the way. I was going to auctions and things of that nature. But I know a lot of successful people in tax deeds.
Absolutely. Okay. I see you, Phil. I'm gonna do Larry's on first, and then I'll go to Phil. All right. Larry said, "Is repetition and experience the only way to get better at understanding material and labor prices?" I thought I could have let you get.
You gotta say that again.
All right. Is repetition and experience the only way to get better at understanding the difference between the material and labor prices on your scopes of work?
Overall, I would say yes. That's the best way. But you just got to put in hours when it comes to labor, material prices, contractors. You just got to put in hours. You got to go to these stores, and you got to go to different stores and see what those pricing is.
Yeah, I feel like the best way is going to the stores or looking online and looking at the prices, seeing if they change, if they're the same, like what are those prices. I think the most important thing is figuring out the material price.
Yeah,
because the contract is going to tell you what their labor price is.
And meeting more of them. The more of them you meet, the more comfortable you get, the more you understand, and the more you talk with authority. The one thing I would advise you when you're talking to contractors, you got to always talk with authority, so that they understand that you know what's going on.
You're not a rookie. Yeah. Even if you are a rookie,
don't act like
you need to.
Even if you're dead wrong,
right?
Just keep going and blame it on somebody else.
Absolutely. And I have a team, and let me go back to my team. Once I talk to my team, we'll make a decision because we're working together. Don't just let it be you, because it's hard to not give them an answer immediately. Give yourself time to think on it, to even come up with additional questions before you just before you just give an answer. All right. You guys, this series today is about asking the Denmarks a question. So if you have a question that you wanted to access, if you're looking to get started, you want to know like how to get started, how to do anything, how we work together, whatever, type it in the chat. We're gonna try to get to as many of them as we can. I'm gonna go ahead on to Phil's question.
Okay.
Phil said, I want to hear more about how you've been using virtual assistants to find deals.
Ooh, okay. All right. So where do I start?
So we have about 5 virtual assistants, if I'm not mistaken, that work in the Philippines. All right. They work for us, but they work in the Philippines. We don't use them like a VA agency. We don't have a VA agency that uses it. We actually manage each of our virtual assistants in-house. So when you hear me say VAs, for those of you who don't know, that's a virtual assistant, someone that works outside of our office, outside of the United States when it comes to us, but helps us run our business to be more efficient. It's never going to be perfect, but to become more efficient.
So to the question directly, he's talking about making offers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the first thing I did feel was when we hired our VA person, I made her go through our training, our coaching material. So when she went through our coaching material that we give our students, she had a base understanding of what a deal looks like. So from there, we would just meet regularly and I would just go over different properties with her so that she understood exactly how to analyze and calculate and what was a good deal for us. But I will say it took a lot of time to get that out of my head and on paper. It wasn't just as easy as hiring her and plugging her in. Like it took a lot of hours, and because sometimes I did stuff just by second nature. I didn't really have a rhyme or rhythm out loud. I just knew why I did it. So like putting all that stuff down is the most important part if you're going to hire somebody to start making offers, and then having regular meetings with them. So with our VA, I don't even check her work anymore. She understands how to make the contract. She understands where to send the offers. So we have a email box, and all of our properties go to our email box. And she goes through every day in that email box and make offers on properties every day. And she tracks them all on a separate sheet of paper, but she only sends on a spreadsheet. And I only find out about properties after we're either under contract or if we are close or it's a good one. So like she understands what a good one looks like, and she'll send me a message. Hey, I just put an offer on this. We need to go see this one ASAP because she understands it.
Or she'll have our acquisition guide goes out on Thursdays, and after he's seen it, put his eyes on it, and the numbers work, that's usually when we find out about it. And it's like, okay, we need to move quickly because obviously the team feels like this is a good one, and then we go. So how we've been using her? We've been using her to drop emails in different groups. We've been using her to make offers to wholesalers, make offers, write up our contracts when it comes to making offers on the MLS. We use her to follow up on offers.
That's a key right there. I was going to say that until you went down that road. I think her biggest role is making the offer, but her follow-up is impeccable, bro. Mm-hmm. Like when I tell you we created a follow-up system for her. So she has her follow-up system, and she understands that if I followed up and it's still available, she understands that she can resubmit her offer but go up a little bit. So
and she knows how much to go up just by trial. So we use her for that, but we also use her for looking at the house based off the pictures, either the wholesaler sent or the pictures that's on the MLS, to estimate exactly how much those renovations are going to cost based on our standard scope of work. And then from there, that's how she's able to really make offers. So she's like a 2-in-1. She's estimating the scope, and she's estimating exactly how much to do on the offers and following up. So that's how we use her.
And that's her main thing. That she does help us with the construction side as far as making contracts and order materials and that. But that's delivered. Like 25% of her job for real. But her main job is to come in, make offers, follow up on offers, get us deals.
Yep.
That's her main job.
All right. Make sure I'm not missing any questions.
Actually, dear March, man, you got questions? Drop them in there. Whatever it's about. We done talked about how we got started. We done talked about VAs. We done talked about LLCs.
You're welcome, Phil. Phil said, thank you. That was gold. Hiring a VA sounds easy, but you got to have a process for them to follow for sure, or else you'll spend all day training them. I've learned that the hard way in the past. Absolutely.
Ooh, okay. If you don't have your systems and operations in place, don't hire a virtual assistant.
Do not hire virtual assistants. You don't have videos, if you don't have processes, job aids in place, do not hire a virtual assistant, because just like Phil said, you'll find out that you are not only trying to teach them, but you're also doing the job during that phase. And it's hard to do both. It's really hard to do both.
And I would say, yes, have your job age, your procedure, and all that. But we like to call it a forever task. Make sure that they always have a forever task that they can do when you're out of pocket or they get stuck. They can always go back and do that forever task, and that's always something for them to do.
So an example of a forever task is cleaning up the email box and putting them into different categories, into different folders, tagging different emails. Another forever task would be clearing out your Google Drive, or making sure your Google Drive, the documents are in the proper folders. Just quick forever tasks that you kind of always need organization in, so that there's no idle moment.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is from Tamika Ford. What's the biggest challenge on your last project? Well, let's talk about what was last.
Oh man.
Would you say
that's
that it can't be current?
It can't be a current project?
No, because you said last. So
okay.
Last project could be one or two. Okay. So one of our biggest challenges in the last project was we bought the house and the foundation was horrible. 44th.
Okay. All right. Okay. We can go there. So the foundation was horrible, but the foundation was bad, but also a whole side of the wall was bad. So like when I tell you the brick had started separating from the foundation, and it was like if this the wall and this the brick was like this. So we had to literally rebuild a whole side of the wall. And that was my first time ever doing something of that nature, to where we had to reframe it and re-brick it and paint it. And it was a big job.
It was a big house.
I want to say we budgeted $10,000 just for that wall. Mm-hmm. So, and along with that wall, we end up having to redo the subfloor throughout the house because it was jacked up also. So I would say that was probably one of the biggest challenges. Mm-hmm. And it was more of a challenge because I wasn't confident in my pricing. So I had met with a lot of different people, and they gave me different advice because I was meeting with. So because of the project, it was really two different people I was meeting with. I had to meet with a brick mason, but I also had to meet with a framer. Mm-hmm. So I was meeting two different type of contractors, and I wanted to put them together, but they wasn't together.
Yeah.
Because most framing people don't know how to do brick mason. Most brick mason, all they do is brick mason. So I had to get my numbers to a comfortable point to where I can do the wall and the brick in my budget. So I think that was probably one of the most challenging things on that project.
That was pretty challenging on that project. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Rita said, and listen, you guys, if you got any questions that you want to ask us, make sure you drop it in the chat so we can get to them. I'm gonna go to Rita's but make sure you drop it in the chat, and then we can answer them. Rita put, when a project is over budget, how do you determine when to stop the bleeding and get out? You said you saw that? That was a lot of emotions, Rita, because that's exactly what you go through. A lot of emotions when that happened. You ready? So first thing I'm gonna do before Antonio gives his answer, first thing that I would do
trying to
is
think of the project that was just
as it's going over budget, I'm looking at things that I can take off that's not gonna make a big impact from my appraisal standpoint. So like I want to take off things that have little to no effect on the value that I want my house to appraise to. So for example, things that I've taken off in the past as I see that I'm creeping up is staircases where I keep the old iron staircases versus putting a newer form of a staircase. Maybe I might have to put carpet on the stairs versus putting the plates where you have the wood on top, the white in the middle. Other things that I've done is I've not replaced my doors because doors are pretty expensive, and I've painted the doors even if they didn't have any panels. So just looking at the rehab and trying to see exactly what can I do that's not going to make a huge impact to my appraisal is really important. But sometimes if you're not keeping track of your rehab, then you really don't know until the end of the project that you just went over. So the second thing you got to do is keep a pulse of that rehab and go over your budget every week, because it can quickly get out of hand without you even having an idea that it's out of hand.
Yeah, Ashley said exactly not what I was gonna say, but I'm gonna go a step farther than what she said. So honestly, we don't go over budget too much, just to be honest with you, because we got a pulse of the budget.
We used to
constantly.
We used
but
to.
also if we went over in the past, I want to make sure I say this right. We ain't been over no more than $4,000 or $5,000. But the one thing I say is, if you're going over budget, most of the time it's because your emotions are controlling the budget, and we're not emotional people for the most part.
I am.
Antonio, as the leader, is an emotional person. So for the most part, I would rather have a lesser product than to be over budget and hope it sells.
Mm-hmm.
In my head, if I'm going over budget, I would rather get lesser product and break even on the deal than to keep pouring in more money
and still have to maybe bring money to the closing table.
Yes. So I don't know if I really answered your question. Because I really don't really do bad in that, because I'm a numbers person and I stay on top of those type of things. But I can tell you the one project where we probably went over budget the most was a project we did in Hoover. And it was a flip. And we moved the kitchen from one place to another. And we did not know that the foundation was concrete. It was a slab concrete. Now it had upstairs, so we thinking it's wood. Like, we didn't even process that it was a concrete slab. So it wasn't until we destroyed the old cabinets and got ready to move it to where the plumber was like, "Hey, we can't just do this like this."
Issues, yeah.
So I would say that cost us an extra $4,000 to $5,000 just having to cut through the concrete and put the drain in. But when that happened, we immediately went to the budget and started saying, what can we take out? All right. So we, on that project in particular, we went to the budget.
We left the staircase.
We left the staircase like it was.
Cedar staircase.
The other big thing we did was it had texture walls.
It did.
We left the texture in the goddamn house.
We left popcorn,
and we talking about a $250,000 to $300,000 house.
Yeah, in Hoover, we left popcorn ceilings, texture walls, the doors, the original doors, which was actually pretty good. But we left them. Yeah. We were supposed to clear out the backyard.
Yeah,
we didn't. We just leveled it out a little. So that the water would drain, but we didn't clear it out like we had budgeted. And I would say if you're going over budget, it's probably because you're not doing your pre-construction on the front end.
Yes.
You're not doing your due diligence on the front end and making sure that you're walking the project several times, making sure somebody else is walking the project with you, making sure multiple contractors are coming out walking that project so that you understand all the things that you may have not seen the first time. It doesn't matter how many times I walk one property, I'm going to see something different every time. Even while in the rehab, I'm going to see something different. So making sure that you are walking that project, making sure someone is walking it with you, walking it for you, because in your case, you're out of state. So someone's walking it for you so that you feel confident, and then go over that scope of work, review it, tweak it, like keep going over it, because the better your scope of work is, the least that you're going to go over budget.
Yep.
But if you just throw something quick together and you don't go back and walk it and look at your scope of work, it's a good chance that you're going to go over.
And I'm going to drop some pictures of it in the group, in the REI Decoded group, Ms. Rita, so you can kind of see the before and afters. And the project still was okay. Now, it wasn't what we wanted to be going into it, but we didn't necessarily go over budget, and we still made a few dollars on the project, to where we thought that it was going to run buyers completely away, but it didn't.
And another thing we didn't realize about that project in particular, we thought it was Hoover School Systems, but it was Shays Valley. So we were like 15 days before putting it on the market, and Antonio was up late in the middle of the night, and he woke me up and he said, "I think we messed up now."
I think we fucked up, Paul. I think we messed up on this one.
He said, "I think we messed up now."
And not saying Shays Valley isn't a good school, but it isn't Hoover School.
It's not Hoover. The whole reason why we were doing that flip was because it was a Hoover school system. Yeah. At least we thought.
So it ended up being an unincorporated part of Birmingham, and it was like, oh, what are we gonna do now? So yeah, that was the event for one.
Absolutely, absolutely. Drop some more questions in the chat, you guys, if you have any more questions for Antonio or myself. I think I just read through all of them.
Okay, so we done talked about how we got started, LLCs, our biggest challenge, how we got money to get started,
the biggest challenge on our last
experience,
project.
The biggest challenge on our last project,
how we use our virtual assistant.
Virtual assistant, that was a good question too, Phil. Man, I like that question.
That was.
All right. So, I mean, we ain't gonna hold y'all. If y'all got anything else, drop them in there. So what we'll do is we'll talk about the conference. We still ain't live yet. Thank you, Tamika. Transparency, Tamika. Tamika put, I love y'all transparency. Y'all rock. That's all we know. Like, understand that a lot of times people see us and we're in this position, but we done took some losses.
We're taking a lot of losses.
We done took a lot of losses.
I'm not going to say that I've always been transparent. It's like a part of the healing process where that transparency comes, because I realized that it can help somebody else to either not experience what I go through, to either stop them from having depression because of what they're going through. A lot of times we feel like we are the only person going through what we're going through at that moment. And it's designed like that to really seclude yourself from others and not get that breakthrough. But it's the moment you share, it's the moment you tell others what you're doing, it's the moment that you tell what your losses are, what your struggles are, when you really start to grow and you help others in the process. So yeah, I can't say that I've always been transparent. I can't even say I am always transparent. It literally comes with more of the process. So as I'm healing and as I've healed, I become more transparent.
Yeah. So the one thing I'll say about that transparency is that we truly understand that the things that we go through are not really for us, even though we go through them. But they are teaching points. They are validations. They are skip the line cheat codes for other people around us, other people in our life, for our kids. So like, we understand that it's going to be losses. It's going to be challenges, but
there's also going to be wins.
It's going to be a lot of wins. Like out of all if I put a ratio, if we bought, we've done 150 deals, we maybe have 10 losses. 15 max.
When I tell you, sometimes when you're in those losses, they wipe out all.
They hurt.
So all the positives, and you have to remind yourself, like, let me put back up my scoreboard and remind myself, okay, I won on this, I won on that. Like, okay, but this loss isn't so bad after all.
Yeah, man. And a lot of times, man, people be having fear, but man, that fear is what's gonna hold you back.
Yeah.
Fear, I can't even really say I've really had fear in real estate. My biggest fear was really, and you're gonna laugh at this. My biggest fear in real estate was wondering how long it's gonna take to get my biggest loss. That's what I used to talk about because I knew a loss was coming. We was 3, 4, 5 years in the real estate, and we had been hitting first base, second base, third base. We had really experienced negativity or a loss of challenges. But I used to always tell her, it's coming. I don't know how it's coming. I don't even know how big it's going to be. But the fact that we're in this line of work and we are out here in this field on this entrepreneur journey.
It's only so many you're going to have without
so many.
striking that.
And if you ever talk to successful people, they will tell you about their losses.
Yeah.
They'll tell you like, yeah, I got some wins, but I got some losses too, if they're honest and transparent.
And you know what? You need those losses sometimes because those losses level you out. Like they level you out from thinking you big, you can do this. Like, oh, I can do this with my eyes closed. Okay, close them. No, you can't. You can't. But I think it's a rush at the end of the day as well. Like most successful people are not just looking at, okay, well, what if I fail? No, they're like, well, what I got to do to win?
What if I win?
Like it becomes a game. Like, okay, well, if I do this and I haven't did it before and I win, what else can I do? What else can I win at? Like, what else can I be great at? And it becomes a rush, and you want that rush. You don't want the fear. You want the rush because that's what keeps you going. That's what takes you to the next level when it comes to your income, when it comes to your finances. But when you don't have that rush and it's only fear by itself, it's hard to really break free. All right. Nikki said, how bad does a property have to be for you to pass on it? I should have passed on one in particular that we didn't. I should have passed on that.
It don't nothing.
The numbers if it's bad and the numbers don't make sense.
That's when I pass.
When we pass. So when I say the numbers don't make sense, I'm gonna just use the easy numbers. Say the house is $20,000, but it's gonna take $70,000 just to do it right. And it's probably only worth 100, 110. I'm probably not going to play with that.
Yeah.
Because the numbers don't make sense to invest. And because something's going to happen that's going to either cause you to spend more or it's going to take you longer to sell. And at that point, it becomes really tough.
Yeah.
So it can look as ugly. It can be barely standing. We'll still play with it. But if it's barely standing
and you don't got a budget to be fixed, leave that
alone. Yeah. It's a wrap.
So like we've done waterproofing, we've done foundation repair, we've done termite repair, we have raised roof.
I mean, termite repair to where the kitchen was on a gangster lean, y'all. Like I have to find that.
But one day we're gonna go back and find some of these pictures, bro.
Was like leaning in the middle of the floor. You couldn't even get in the kitchen, y'all. Like,
and it's not even the house we did the hotel on.
That was a flip. Yeah. So like, no, that wasn't a flip. That was the least option. Yeah. Like, it can be really bad, but as long as the numbers make sense, it's good.
Numbers, it goes down to the numbers.
All right. Miss King said, what are some things that you look for when hiring contractors?
I'm gonna go the opposite way.
That's what I was gonna do.
All right, so you can go there. I'll do the opposite.
Okay, so things that I try to make sure my contractor doesn't have, instead of things that I look for when hiring them, I want to make sure they don't have a wrapped truck. All right. If their logo is all on their truck and it's wrapped, no disrespect, but I can't afford them as an investor. Okay. I can't afford them. That means I can only use them for my retail. Okay. For my houses that I'm living in, like just to fix me up real quick while I'm living in my house. But as far as going to my job site, and making sure that I get the best bang for my buck, that's the A contractor. I can't afford an A contractor.
All right, so how about I'm gonna go there, you go, and then we're gonna get back and back. So
Okay.
something that I'm actually looking for, I'm looking for the contractor that got some paint on his clothes. He look a little off. He may got a Sherman Williams shirt on. I'm looking for the contractor that's doing some work. That's my guy right there. That's one of the things I'm looking for.
Not the one that got the iPad.
Not the one that got the iPad with his good shoes on, his jeans and his collar shirt. Me and him not gonna vibe well.
Listen, if he look like he worked for Spartan, Miss King.
All right. What's something else from your end?
I am looking for. Are they gonna show up when I tell them I want to meet them? Like, are they available to show up? Because I need them to have a little free time. I understand that it may be a 2-3 man crew, but I need them to be able to show up to the property when I ask them to show up. Because if they can't, then that means they can't run multiple projects for me. They can only just do one. So I need them to have enough guys or girls on their team to where if I need them to meet me at different projects just to give me a bid, they can show up.
One other thing I can tell you that we are looking for a contractor that's working. If you find a contractor that can start on your project right away, that's probably not a good sign. Most good contractors have more than enough work. Most average contractors have more than enough work. So I want to be able to say, hey, what projects are you working on? Can I come pull up to the jobs? Can I look at them?
Yeah.
Oh, sure, man, we got this project or this project. Come by anytime you want. Blase, squaje. Those are good signs to me. Mm-hmm. But if it's how quick can you start? Or we can start tomorrow.
Why?
What's going on? Why you
unless I know that you have several crews and maybe one of your crew is ending a job, but you shouldn't just be able to hop on my project out of nowhere. If you can hop on my project out of nowhere, it's a good chance that you ain't got nothing going on.
Or you got some challenges, or you're not a good contractor for real. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be very controversial when I say this. I am very weary of contractors who want a lot of money up front. That's a red flag to me. I kind of stay away from them. If they need a lot of money up front, and I'm not saying they need money up front, especially if you're doing labor and material type bids, you need to pay them for that type of stuff. But if we're doing a project and you need 50% of your money up front, I'm running the other way.
Yeah, because typically what they're telling me is you got another project you're trying to finish, so you're starting mine to finish another project, but use the funds for mine to cover the other project. And I get it. That's not my business. But what I can do is protect myself.
That's not my business.
I can protect myself and my investment to make sure that you don't leave me hanging by over leveraging the system. So I'm not giving you 50% if you ain't demo. Like, nah, we need to be 50% done. At least 30% done. All right. But we can't start off from ground zero and you just took 50% of the money. That just don't sit well with me. Because what if you don't show back up? Because there's been contractors that don't show back up after you've given them this, or show up 2-3 weeks later when you're about to get a job to somebody else. And now you way over budget because they ain't even start.
I think the worst one may have been they sent one guy to the house and he does by himself and he just trying to work and he just trying. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? What is going on here? So just a FYI, those are a few things that we look for when we're hiring contractors. And our philosophy on contractors is we want to become A contractors and we're going to hire B and C contractors. All right. So you can't afford to hire A contractors to do your investment properties. You barely afford a B contractor.
Yeah.
But you want to become the A contractor so you can scale your systems and your processes to do more deals.
And what does that mean? That means you want to handle the paperwork. You want to make sure the contracts are in place. You want to make sure that you're checking on the projects. You want to make sure that you're doing the projects based on your timeline. And if you don't know what those timelines are, if you don't know how to schedule the project, if you don't know how to reach those measurements, then don't expect somebody else to. but you got to be able to do it first, and that's how you become the A contractor. Beasley said, "This is some good information." Why, thank you, dear.
No problem.
Thank you, dear.
Miss Rita, right?
Miss Rita said, "I can do this with my eyes closed." Well, you close them then.
That was reference to your comment.
She said I was hilarious.
Keep them eyes open. We ready to go, man. Thank y'all. Just a FYI for those who are coming late, we do have a summit coming up in July, the REI Decoded Summit, where we're going to be talking about how to find a deal. We're going to be talking about how to get your funding to do your deals. We're going to be talking about more of what not to do in these rehabs in particular.
Yeah, how to become the A contractor.
And we're going to have Darlene showing us how to overcome our fears, y'all. So understand that a lot of y'all have fears that are built up from past experiences.
Yes.
And we need to really come talk to Miss Darlene to kind of get through those fears so that we can get to our promised land.
Yeah, because those fears aren't just stopping us from investing. They're stopping us from accomplishing things that we want in our life, period. So what Miss Darlene, when we were on the podcast a few weeks ago, what she helped us understand is sometimes those fears come from the womb, where you're trying to figure out, okay, well, when did I become so fearful? Like, how did I get this? It started off in the womb. And you have to sometimes go back and find out, where did it originate from, to be able to let it go and release it, to really start accomplishing those goals, really start breaking those barriers that you have internally, not even externally. Because a lot of the times the barriers aren't externally, they're internally. They're us telling ourselves, well, I can't do it. There's limitations. Nobody else in my family has done it. That doesn't mean you can't do it. So I'm excited about Darlene.
Yes. There's a few early bird tickets left. It's on Eventbrite. Go get your tickets.
Yeah. Type in REI Decoded Summit on Eventbrite. It will come up. Get your tickets. Get the early bird tickets now. It's a 2-day conference. We start around noon on Friday. We have a cocktail party Friday evening, and then Saturday it is full throttle all day. Get ready to,
and we got a bus tour.
It's a bus tour. We're gonna get on the bus. We're gonna look at a property. We're gonna walk through a property. We're gonna inspect the property so you know what you should be looking for when you get ready to buy a property. All right. Yes, Miss Beasley
already got her
ticket. Absolutely.
Beasley got her VIP ticket off the top.
Got her VIP ticket. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So man, get your VIP ticket, man. Network with the speakers, talk with the speakers, man. That is invaluable, y'all. And
absolutely.
I can only tell you what has helped us grow and give you that opportunity. But having those one-on-one conversations with the speakers, having those backroom conversations, being able to ask those detailed questions, really helps you overcome your challenges and expedite your growth process.
Absolutely. Haley said, do the early bird tickets cover the entire summit? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
I mean, y'all have a good day. See y'all next week. Who we got next week, Ashley?
So we won't see you on Thursday.
Oh yeah, we're gonna cancel Thursday.
So Thursday, Antonio's grandmother passed away last week. So we're heading home for the funeral this weekend. So we'll be traveling. So pray for our traveling grace and mercy. We'll be traveling on Thursday and Friday. And then we'll be back next week.
You gonna travel 2 days?
The way you travel, yes, absolutely. With your whole crew. All right. Love you guys. Have a great, great day. If you are watching this later and you got any questions that you want to ask us, drop it in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them.
Sounds good to me.
Peace.